Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, April 16, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section, letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the United States Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook. We can see that it was issued just a couple hours ago on April 16. So we can see that for the time period from April 24 to April 30, they're actually predicting some amount of light shades of greens across sections of the northern Caribbean into the northeastern Caribbean. And we can see that by the key on the bottom, that's representative of some amount of above average rainfall probability. And we're indeed grateful if that actually verifies. We can also see something similar for the time period from May 1 to May 7, although it doesn't really incorporate sections of Jamaica. We're indeed grateful that there's going to be some kind of increase in the rainfall as we head into the month of May. According to these maps, we know the US Climate Prediction Center can be accurate sometimes but not all the time, and the fact that it is only the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall above normal probabilities, the chances aren't really high with that. Either way, we're indeed grateful that we're seeing some kind of signal that we might get in on some more rainfall. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see that the Atlantic is being dominated by ridges of high pressure that are responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can also see that cold front that has been affecting portions of the Greater Antilles, including eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, has now become stationary right there, still across portions of the southwestern Atlantic. And we can also see those broken red lines right here across portions of the eastern Caribbean and east of the eastern Caribbean, associated with numerous troughs. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with the cold front and the troughs, bringing some amount of overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms to sections of eastern Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, sections of northern Puerto Rico getting in on the action. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we can actually see those high cold cloud tops as represented by those blues, greens, yellows, oranges, not to mention some amount of sparkling white dots that are indicative of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, taking place across sections of Hispaniola and northern Puerto Rico. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, April 16, 2024. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica on Tuesday morning, then affecting sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica during Tuesday afternoon. And just for reference, we know when we're talking about northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Southern parishes, we're talking about Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew and St. Thomas. And what ended up happening? Although we didn't get a chance to make an update to post what was happening during the morning, we did indeed see some clouds across sections of some northern parishes, northeastern parishes, that is, maybe sections of Portland, St. Mary. Not really sure if there were some amount of isolated shower activity taking place from those clouds, as the Cuban Doppler radar images weren't showing that, but we did see the clouds. Either way, the afternoon was very much fruitful for sections of southern parishes, as we saw the satellite image that was posted on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but on our Instagram page, TikTok and Facebook page. On our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. And we can see that at 3:56 p.m. we had the visible satellite image posted showing clouds bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of some southern parishes. So we indeed got on some of that activity across sections of St. Elizabeth and Manchester at that time. And we even have some of our followers confirming the rainfall. Brielle Patton stating Mandeville rain, and Oliver Hutchinson stating well-deserved showers of blessing. Even Rose Butler confirming the rainfall in southern Manchester right there, as she posted raining in South Manchester. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can indeed see here we had that cloud cover building across sections of eastern Westmoreland, sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon as well. And that's basically it. Elsewhere, very much clear. Majority of Westmoreland, majority of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew was very much in the clear. If we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we can see those milky whitish colors, still indicative of some amount of cloud cover across sections of the southwest, so section of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, maybe sections of Clarendon, still getting in on some cloud cover as we speak, maybe some isolated shower activity embedded within that. And the Cuban Doppler radar images confirm the isolated shower activity, as we can see some specks of greens that represent light to moderate rainfall across sections of St. Elizabeth and sections of Clarendon, not to mention sections of Manchester as we speak. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Wednesday, the temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Wednesday, as we see right here. 18Z when calculated, that's actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And all of that we see here across Jamaica is some gray colors, as we can see by the key on the right. These gray colors are representative of 0 on the scale. That means that we're going to be receiving average temperatures, so no above normal with those yellows, oranges, or reds, no below normal with those blues or greens. Average temperatures, and we know the average temperatures for the month of April across Jamaica are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So that's basically the temperature for Wednesday across Jamaica. As related to the dry air map, we can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being plagued by a lot of dry air, as we can see by the key on the bottom. The dry air is represented by the yellows, oranges, reds, and the whites within those reds. The driest air is across the waters to the west of Africa, but we see Jamaica embedded in some amount of yellows and slight oranges that represent that dry air. In terms of the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, we see that Jamaica right here should be in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across the main development region, as we can see by those darker shades of browns. Some of these browns have already made their way into sections of the Eastern Caribbean, the Leeward and Windward Islands, not to mention sections of the Southern Caribbean, so the ABC Islands as well. But so far, that's on the low end of the scale in terms of Saharan dust. What we don't want to see across the Caribbean is those darker shades of browns that we know indicate the very hazy skies, not to mention those vigorous plumes that definitely trigger some respiratory illnesses in some persons. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see more in the way of those lighter shades of blues with a mixture of some darker shades of blues that are representative of anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are still coming in from the east-northeast for the most part, strongest on the north coast, with those greens and yellows that are representative of anywhere from 15 to 20 or even gusting to 25 knots. And we also see those blues across sections of southern Jamaica. We know these blues are basically representative of some air piling up, with the least amount of air. So we're going to be having all of that air piling up coming in from the east-northeast. So there's definitely another chance of those cumulus clouds becoming rain clouds, maybe even making it as far as becoming cumulonimbus clouds if we get those high cold cloud tops that should be coming in from the northwest tomorrow. So it's definitely going to be favoring more so in the way of some southern parishes during the afternoon. So they already have the lower level support with the winds coming in from the east northeast. And it seems that we also have the upper level support with the upper level winds coming in from the north northwest. So it's definitely going to be favoring southern Jamaica if we get some thunderstorm activity across the island, pushing all of those thunderstorms off towards the south and east, bringing more in the way of overcast skies and isolated thunderstorms if there's going to be thunderstorms to sections of southern Jamaica. And the rainfall forecast maps confirm this. First of all, the fact that the winds are going to be coming in from the east to northeast for tomorrow, for the most part, it's very much indicative of the fact that we're going to be getting in on some more relief for rainfall, especially during the morning hours. So we can already see that the blues that represent rainfall. What time is this? This is 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 a.m. Jamaica time. And where do we see the blues that represent rainfall? Across sections of some northern parishes. And we can see that this signal is very much robust, even more robust than what we saw yesterday. And it's definitely confined to sections of northern Jamaica, so sections of St. Ann, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas. Skipping ahead to about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time, we still see much of the same. Those blues that represent rainfall still plaguing sections of St. Ann, St. Mary, Portland, and sections of St. Thomas. So that's 8 o'clock. Skipping now to about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see the blues that represent rainfall starting to spill into sections of southern Jamaica. So we can't rule out some isolated shower activity, maybe even some thunderstorm activity taking place across sections of St. Elizabeth again, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, sections of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, and we can also see that we're still going to be getting that rainfall across sections of the northeast. So sections of St. Mary, St. Ann, Portland might still be getting in on that rainfall, and the accumulated precipitation forecast maps confirm this. These maps are showing what's the rainfall totals, what the rainfall totals are going to be within the next 24 hours. These maps are actually showing the amount of rainfall that's going to be accumulated from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. And we do see that both maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing that the most rainfall should be across northeastern Jamaica, Portland right there. And we see those reds almost up to an inch of rainfall actually. The Euro showing up to 0.73 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS showing up to 0.93 of an inch of rainfall. And we also see it incorporating sections of southern or southwestern Jamaica. Euro showing up to 0.44 of an inch of rainfall. GFS less, to 0.18. Either way, we're indeed grateful. We're going to be getting some amount of rainfall somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. We're in the month of April. We usually receive up to 114.75 millimeters of rainfall during this month. That's almost 5 inches of rainfall. And with this in the forecast, it's very much welcomed. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have the numerous troughs and the cold front still bringing some amount of overcast skies and the isolated shower and thunderstorm activity to sections of eastern Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and we can see the actual thunderstorm activity associated with that, with those sparkling white dots that are indicative of some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes, across Haiti, the Dominican Republic. Not to mention sections of northern Puerto Rico. We can also see some of that rainfall across sections of Honduras, sections of northern Nicaragua, sections of southern and central Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana also getting in on the mix. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we know the Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that we know can show cloud cover and not necessarily rainfall. And we can see that rainfall definitely plaguing sections of the waters, especially to the north of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. We can also see that thunderstorm activity that we had across sections of northern and western Puerto Rico today. We indeed had some amount of rainfall across sections of the Dominican Republic. Sections of the Leeward Islands also picked up some isolated shower activity. Even right now, they're getting in on some of the activity. Some hit or miss isolated showers as represented by these greens across sections of St. Kitts and Nevis or to the waters east of there, not to mention Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, sections of Dominica as well. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can actually see some rainfall to the north of the island coming in from a southeasterly direction, affecting sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sections of St. Lucia, sections of northern Martinique, majority of the water to the northeast of Puerto Rico as well, even to the northeast of Barbados as well, sorry. And we can even see some sprinkles right there coming into sections of eastern Barbados at the last frame of that radar loop. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall across sections of the Dominican Republic. That's some very heavy rainfall as a matter of fact, maybe some isolated flash flooding taking place in some spots. We can also see that rainfall that we mentioned across sections of Suriname and French Guiana. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we're indeed grateful that we're seeing a mixture of those grays and yellows, not to mention some blues within there for sections of the Caribbean that represent anywhere from slightly below average to average and some slightly above average, mainly across the central and eastern Caribbean. That's where the slightly above average temperatures are going to be experienced. While northern South America, Central America, the Gulf of Mexico, and the United States should be getting in on those reds for the most part that are indicative of anywhere from 5 to 6 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, the central and western Caribbean that is, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust are starting to plague sections of the southern and eastern Caribbean, so the Leeward Islands, sections of the Windward Islands, the ABC Islands. But we're indeed grateful that we're not getting in on that very vigorous plume of dust yet. That darker shade of brown that indicate that hazy skies, not to mention triggering some respiratory illnesses in some people. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds for the most part should be coming in from the east, and we see those bluish greens, not to mention those brighter greens that represent anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 15 knots, maybe gusting to 20 knots in some spots, gusting to 25 in other areas. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we're still going to be getting in on some more rainfall, as both of these maps are showing the 24-hour rainfall totals going all the way up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday, and we do see the isolated shower activity that's definitely expected for sections of eastern Cuba, sections of Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, sections of Puerto Rico, sections of the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, spilling all the way down into portions of the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica might get in the action as well. We're basically already getting in on what the CPC was forecasting actually. As we can see, the climate prediction center, is forecasting those lighter shades of greens, which mean above normal rainfall for those spots that are currently getting in on that rainfall for April 24 to April 30. And this does indeed paint a picture similar to what the Euro and the GFS are forecasting for tomorrow and what they've been forecasting for the past weekend. So, mainly northern Caribbean islands getting in on most of the rainfall, not so much across the Windward Islands at all. We also see some rainfall in the forecast for sections of French Guiana, Suriname, sections of Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Honduras, even spilling into sections of southern Belize as well. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chance of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching.